it's my responsibility to be in a position to where I can handle that.
Sure.
And if I wasn't in that position, well, I'm going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll go work a second job.
Mm-hmm.
I'll work all night. I'll do whatever it takes.
You've been here. We've been working together since you were 14.
Full time since graduated in 06, pretty much. So 15 years full time now.
Yeah.
This year.
15 years here working together.
Full time. And you know, from 14 to 18, it was just hit and miss. You know, it was, hey, you're going to come up here and clean the shop. And then it was, you're going to come up here. We destroyed this wall. You're going to take it all out for us. It was a lot of just miscellaneous stuff. So, almost 20 years now. It's kind of.
Has it been that?
I mean, 19 this year.
19
If you
years.
count from 14 to now, we've known each other for 19 years, pretty much. 19, 20 years time frame.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, time definitely flies by when you're not paying attention to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, so my one-word description, like for you and Garrett, like I've been knowing y'all so long, that I was just kind of like, all right, here's some things that I see that these guys do extremely well. And I want to kind of pull, that's what I want to get out of this, is why is it that you do these things well? And one of these things is, or my one-word description for you is, what's his name? Tillman Fertitta. He calls it the bull. All right, that's kind of my one word. You know, when I'm describing Garrett in one word, it's consistent.
Yeah.
But my one word for you is just like the bull.
It's definitely, when I saw that, you know, I read over some of this stuff yesterday, and I was just I laughed over that. I was like, well, that's pretty funny, but it's pretty accurate in a lot of ways, because, you know, just charge that stuff. Sometimes it's reckless, you know, sometimes it's bull in a china shop, and it's not beneficial to anybody. Like, it's detrimental. Yep. But then other times, I don't know when being a bull is necessarily, like, what scenario that is that creates a good environment for that. Yeah. But, you know, sometimes you got to be that charge that just go after something, you know, charge at the red cape type thing, and I'm going to get it till I die, kind of. Like, you're going to have to kill me to get me to stop chasing that red cape.
Ain't that what I told you, Tiffany? Earlier I was talking to Tiffany about that. I was like, I was talking to her about the bull, and I was like, man, here's kind of the scenario. If I'm in a foxhole and I'm going to battle, I want somebody that I know that's going to just go all the way, blood, sweat, and tears to the death, or I want somebody that's a little bit crazy. Like, I'm not really sure. So basically, if I'm in a foxhole, I want you on one side, and I want my brother Todd on the other side.
Man, that'd be a pretty interesting foxhole right there.
That's right.
We might make it out. We might not. Todd might blow us all up.
Yeah, he's going to come in with several pounds of TNT. And
say, hey, guys, I got this.
Completely destroy the enemy.
Yep.
Yeah. So where do you get that drive, man? I mean, where does that drive come from? Nurture, nature, like
probably a good portion of it was just the way I was brought up. You know, my mom and dad were both military, so when you come from a military background, it's very structured, and it's very, your whole MO in the military is what's the mission? Mm-hmm. What are you supposed to be doing for the mission? You know, and I listen to my wife talk, and it's all about the mission. You know, even when they're not in active war, there's always a mission that people in the military are trying to accomplish. Now, it might not be that, hey, we're going to go conquer this group of people, but it's, hey, we need to get this done, so that's our mission. And it's just kind of, so some of it's probably from that, just natural, that type of natural thing from them, picking that up from the military. Mm-hmm. And then the other part of it was just, there was parts of my life I've just kind of like, I don't want, like, I know the things that I want in life, And I know to go get that, I can't sit still. I can't expect somebody, like, I'm not going to inherit a great thing from my parents. I'm just, some people are lucky and they get that stuff. Some people, a lot of people work for it. So that was kind of my mentality is I knew that, hey, if I want this, I have to go get it. This isn't going to be given to me. Right. So a lot of that came from that, and a lot of it's just, from a young age, you're told a lot of things that you can and can't do. People tell you, well, hey, I'm a big car guy. I love cars. Well, at the age of 15, 16, it's irresponsible for you to be thinking, well, one day I'm going to own a Lamborghini. Because a lot of people don't think that way. It's not, hey, that's crazy. You're never going to own a car that costs the price of a nice house.
Right.
But in my mind, it's like, well, why not?
Right.
Why can I not do that? All these other people are doing it. So what are they doing to get there? And it's, okay, let's start plugging away. And my dad instilled in me a very, it wasn't the easiest of upbringings. It was very much you're doing this, you don't get a choice, and that was, some instances I'm like, man, I'm glad he was that way. And then other instances I'm like, man, it would have been nice to have that more of a relationship instead of the rod, fear the rod type stuff. Cause I didn't do a lot of things because I feared what might happen when my dad found out. Cause he always found out about stuff, just period. Right. So when I was 11, 12, he automatically started instilling in me in a work ethic. And it was just something that we did is, hey, you're going to be working outside. You're going to be working to help people. You're going to be, and that's how me and you met is he said, hey, you got anything that he can be doing to work? Right. And that's how the whole thing started. Yeah. And that was a big driving force. Because that's the way I've been ever since I was 14. It's okay. We had one summer where you didn't have the ability to hire me because that was when Sign Master kind of took the next level. So there's one summer where I didn't have a job. Mm-hmm. So it was like, okay, well, I had to pay for car insurance. My parents provided me a car, provided for gas. I had to pay car insurance. I was like, crap. What? My fallback was I'm going to go work for Tommy over the summer, but you had just hired a bunch of people and it just wasn't in the play. So I was like, okay, I got to scrap together. So it was asking people. Mm-hmm. I think I cut grass for a few people. I was just doing odd end stuff. And then I went and worked for the church, stripping floors, moving. Like it was just a bunch of grunt work, but that's just, right. I needed the money. So right. Whatever I got to do to get, to be able to pay for my car insurance, that's what I'm going to do. It's just that mentality. And that's kind of the mentality I've had the rest of my life is, okay, I have goals. I'm just going to do what I got to do to get there.
Right. And regardless of what the goal is.
Yeah, regardless of what the goal, because the goal's constantly changing. At 16 to 18, it was, I want to pay for insurance. From 18 to 22, it was, hey, I've got this car and I'm going to make this thing just, fast as I can make it. Right. And then it just evolves. It just steps into different steps over your life. It's never just one thing. It's always, okay, well, now I did this. Yeah. Let's find something new to put my time and my money into. Exactly. And it just kind of evolved.
Exactly. And it needs to be. As you mature.
Yeah, if you're thinking in the mind of an 18-year-old, man,
it'd be tough.
It'd be real tough. Well, I would have just cars laying everywhere, and it would be unreal how many race cars I would probably own.
Right. Well, leading up, that's pretty good segue right there, talking about making money and starting at a young age and being really disciplined in, in your pursuit of jobs and resources to do what you set your goals to. Mm-hmm. I've always known you as even as a young man, even as a kid back when you were 14, but as you came up and I'm watching you grow and mature, you always had money. You never, like, I don't recall you ever making any more than the next guy, but you always seemed to have resources for whatever it was. If you were doing whatever your goals were,
yeah,
you always seem to have that. What are you doing management wise? I mean, what's the deal if I'm telling my kids, hey, this is how you need to handle your money?
Like I said, when I was reading over some of the questions that you were saying, hey, this is some of the stuff we're going to talk about. Right. I've really been racking my brain with how I learned to manage money. Like, where did that come from?
Right.
And part of me says, well, hey, some of it was my parents raised me in a way that, they gave us a checking account real early in life. So, part of having a checking account back then was you had to keep your balance book. Like, you had to keep your checkbook balance right, or you were going to run out of money because there wasn't online. Like, nothing was online back then. So it was all, you couldn't just be like, well, hey, I'm going to go pop up onto my phone real quick and be like, hey, okay, I got plenty of money. You had to know that back then. So some of that was, like, part of me says that some of it was from that, like, just subtle teaching. Mm-hmm. And money has always been something that's been easy for me. Like, managing money and how money works and how to keep all that in line. Because I remember back in high school, we had a personal finance class or a business, I think it was a business. I can't remember what it was. Anyways, I was forced into that class because I needed a credit. Like, they were like, hey, you got to have a credit. And I was like, okay. And the choices was like Spanish 2 or business finance or whatever they called it back then.
You should have took Spanish.
No. That was definitely one thing I should not have took because I hated Spanish 1. That was one thing I just despised, was having to be in Spanish. And you just talk to everybody in high school and know that was not a fun Spanish class. So anyways, I remember starting to look into that book because I started the class a little bit late because of, originally I was in study hall. So I started the class later than everybody else. So I had a little bit of catching up to do, but it was so easy for me that I went ahead and worked my way through the book. Like, I just did the book into where I was done with it. I worked through all this stuff and I was just done. And I can just remember it was the same in just any math class that I was in. It just came pretty natural for me. I can remember there's times being in Miss Horn's math class. I just, she'd be like, JC, you can't answer today because everybody else needs to learn this stuff. So you lay down on the floor and take a nap. She's like, if you hear the door open, get back up in your... So that's what I would do. It was just like... And that's just how math was for me in high school. And business math was even easier because it's just addition, subtraction, debits, credits. Yeah. It's very easy for me to look at that and be like, okay, this is a joke. Yeah. So I literally finished that book before the class was even halfway through. And it turned into I got A's on everything. It was just, so part of it, and he says that it's just natural because I've always been good in math. Yeah. So, and that's all money is.
Well, too, something that you look in there at, the math is the one side of it, but the relationship that you have with dollars or money is a big deal.
Yeah.
Do you see it as is money the object or is money a tool?
It's the tool because it's never, it's great to have a lot of money. Yeah. Anybody that tells you it's not, is a liar. Let's just be real.
Right. Yeah.
You're taught from a young age, love of money is the root of all evil. Yes, the love of it is, but everybody likes money.
Yeah.
Now, you have to survive and
better have a relationship with it.
Yeah.
You don't have to love it.
Yeah, exactly. So I used it as a tool to do what I wanted to do with it. Mm-hmm. And what that what that was has always changed. You know, like
Right.
I said, from one age group, it was just, I got to pay for this, so I'm going to do it. Down the road, it turned into, well, now I'm using this as a tool to try to make more, to try to get the things in life that I want to do. You know, there's a lot of Dave Ramsey followers.
Yeah.
And I've read Dave Ramsey's books. I've read just tons of books about finance.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that Dave Ramsey I like. I'm like, okay,
Yeah, he's spot on.
that's good stuff. But then there's a lot of things that I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, you can't enjoy life if you're living that way. I mean, yes, once you get to what his goal in life, or like what his goal, what he thinks that you should do with money,
Right.
then yeah, you can start living life in that way. But man, there's a lot of people who get themselves in such a deep hole that they can't live that way for years.
Yeah.
And now if you start young, you can stay out of that. There was times in my life where I took advantage of the situation that was presented before me. You know, that was probably one of the biggest things was, you know, when I first got out of high school, it was, my parents said, hey, you're going to go to college. I didn't want to. Took me 6 years to get my degree. I still didn't want to, even, you know, 6 years down the road. Looking back, I'm kind of like, hey, yeah, I've got my fancy piece of paper, but I didn't want to do it. So my first year, we were working part-time, working 3 days a week and going to school 2 days a week. I think my first semester. And then it was after that where I was kind of like, I realized what I was losing by not being at work those 2 days. You know, it was only, $8 an hour? So $100.
Maybe.
Yeah. $100 for 2 days. But in my eyes, that was like, that's huge, because that's $100 that I could be putting in my pocket that I'm at school wasting time on.
Right.
So that's when you came up with the whole education assistance program, and I was like, okay, I can get on board with that, because then that gives me my full 40-hour weeks.
Yep.
But then it also gives me the opportunity to not have to pay for school. So, you know, that's you know, the big thing now is student loan debt is a $2 trillion debt on America. Well,
right. You don't have any.
I don't have any. And I did for a very short period of time, because I didn't know I had student debt, because it was one of those things where, hey, you know, sign this, and I just did.
Right.
But once I found out about it, it was like, okay, we're getting this taken care of, because I didn't do that. I'm not getting that on my thing, so we're getting this taken care of.
Well, let me back up just a second on you.
Yep.
On that education assistance program, I want to kind of expound how that thing worked, where everybody will know what's going on with that. So we came up with a thing to where if you would work a full 40 hours a week and go to school at night, we would pay, the company would pay X amount per government regulation.
Yeah, like
$200 a year.
Some weird number.
At the time, it actually would cover most of the tuition, I believe.
Covered all of it.
All of the tuition.
Yeah, it just wouldn't pay for books was the thing. It wouldn't pay for a full year.
Yeah. So it was a lot different.
A lot different.
But the whole deal is that the people that we signed up at Signmaster doing that, if those type of people, anybody that was willing to work 40 hours a week and go to school at night, we found that was the people, like those are high quality individuals there that are willing to put in that work. So
it takes a lot
of discipline
to do it. It took a lot longer to do it, because
that's the reason for 6 years.
You couldn't do it in the standard 4 years.
Right. Right.
And you know, you could squeeze it in, but a lot of it has to do with your desire to want to do it. And that's working 40-hour weeks and then trying to pump in 15 hours worth of school in a semester was just kind of,
it's tough.
It was very tough, and it was something that I didn't like doing. But it set me up in a lot of ways. It's kept student loans off of me, for one.
True that.
And then it let me work 40-hour weeks.
Yeah.
So I was able to make all the money that I need to make that week.
You know what else? It just resonated. As a young man, you didn't have a lot of free time.
No.
You were on all the time.
Yeah, from pretty much 18, we used to joke back and forth about I have 500 hours of vacation here. Right. And it was like, hey, dude, you got to quit this crap. But really, it comes from when I first started working here, it was, hey,
right,
when you're going to school full time, you don't have time to be off at the beach, off doing other stuff.
You're never off.
Yeah, you're never off unless you went spring break. But spring break, we had work. Mm-hmm. And, I would, 2 days here, 2 days there, but I don't remember ever using up all of my vacation I just always.
You never have used, you never went to zero on vacation
never.
As long as I can remember.
Yeah, and never that I can remember either. So that was kind of, and that probably saved me from a lot of the stuff that most people go through from age 18 to 22.
I believe it did.
Because
honestly,
I didn't have free time to be out partying, to be out doing all these things. Now, I got into stuff. I was street racing cars. Like, that was my scene back then. I was running roads when I shouldn't have been running roads. Yeah. And then it turned into, well, hey, I realized how dangerous it was. So I was like, okay, drag strip. And we were out at the drag strip, every other week. I mean, it just, it just doing other stuff, not at parties, not drinking, not doing those things. But a lot of that's upbringing too. When you live in that life, you don't want to live in that life.
Right.
Addiction is a real thing. Yeah. And when you experience it from a young age on to older, and I have that personality, I have a very addictive personality. If there's something I want to do, I'm going to be very tied into it. Yeah. So it was just kind of like, I'm not going to start drinking. Even to this day, I don't drink a whole lot.
Right.
It's just never something that I just stay away from it because it's easier to stay away from it than to try to control it.
Than to get out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess I'll just shift gears again. So we covered kind of, kind of your drive.
Yep.
The way you handle money, kind of why.
Well, and to add, like, another part of that whole thing, again, from experience, is seeing how my mom and dad handled money was kind of a big wake-up call. Because it was keeping up with the Joneses in a lot of scenarios. It was, hey,
it's common.
Yeah, and it's a very common, American. And I think, it is an American thing, and a lot of people try to hide that. And it's very common. But looking at, once I got a peek at that whole, because once my parents got divorced, it opened up all of that stuff. Yeah. Like, that stuff came out of, hey, we're okay, everything's fine. When your parents separate out and they're now having to live on their own without that dual income, it shows a lot of cracks in the armor.
Yeah. Expose your finances for sure.
Exposes them majorly. So that was like my 18, 19, 20 range. So that was kind of a big eye opener. Is because, in high school it was everything's good. I had 2 cars. I was driving a truck. I had a 66 Mustang that we bought, and then I was driving the truck, and we always had, newer cars. It was always keeping up with the Joneses. Is, well, hey, they're doing this, so we're going to do it too type mentality. And it wasn't, in general, it was just, like you said, it's America.
Right. Matter of fact.
Yeah. It's just, this is how we're going to do it, and where this is what we're going to do. So a lot of it was seeing that, and that was a real eye-opening thing to see is, holy crap, they're in debt up to their eyeballs. Yeah. And, they used a lot of it to bless me and put me in a position that helped me down life.
Yeah.
But some of it was like, well, hey, this was goofy. Like, y'all,
why'd we do this?
Yeah. Why in the world did we do this?
Exactly.
But again, keeping up with the Joneses, and that's the American way, is you have to keep up with that. So that was pretty eye-opening experience, seeing that. So that showed me what I didn't want it to be again. Because, I looked at my dad and I saw, I don't want to be him. I don't want to be that, addicted to stuff, that type of person. Like, that was my whole thing once I got out of high school. It was, I don't want to be like my dad in that way.
Right.
Now, my dad had a lot of great attributes, but
right.
Absolutely. One of the glaring things was his addiction. And, but it taught me a lot.
Sure.
And it guided me down a road that turned me into who I am today.
Yeah.
I mean, just so seeing that out of my parents, it made me realize real quick that I don't want to be that way. I don't want to live paycheck to paycheck. I don't want to be guessing where I'm going to be able to pay for something. Like, hey, if the truck breaks down, how am I going to pay for that?
Right.
I'm just going to pay for it.
Right.
That was my mentality. And so that was a big factor, is seeing that and being like, okay, what do I got to do to not be that way?
Yeah.
So huge, your parents provide a lot for you. They try to keep you from a lot of stuff.
Right.
And one of those lessons that, like, as a parent myself, I wouldn't want to teach my kid that lesson that way.
Right.
Like, that's not the way I want to teach Ellie how to live down the road.
Yeah.
But, it was America, and that's just what you did.
Dude, you get sucked up in that thing too.
Especially being military, we were constantly hopping around, so it's easy to do. Because
I bet it's easy to accumulate. I never really thought about that until just now. Hopping from place to place to place in the military, I wonder what the actual numbers are for military debt. People, because they get into a city, there's a lot of startup, like foundational cost and getting set up somewhere.
Yep.
I wonder if they drag baggage of debt around.
I'm sure
with them.
I'm sure it's a big
even
factor.
more so than just somebody that.
Now the military does do a lot of things to help, alleviate that cost. If they move you, you get stipends for. They do a lot of stuff to try, because I think they realize pretty quick that
this was killing people.
This is a very to make somebody have to move.
Yeah.
It's very stressful. It's very, you got it costly. So, they do housing allowances, tax breaks. They just do all kind of stuff. So, but it is when you're having to sell a house, and especially, if the market's not right.
Oh, yeah.
You get into a house, you get sideways, because you're only there for 4 years.
Right.
In a lot of locations. So, like, I think our house in Texas, we still owned when we moved here.
Really?
Because we couldn't sell, they weren't wanting to sell it, so they rented it for just a little while to try to pay some more down. So it and that's what kept us from building a bigger house, and it kept them in a bubble when we first moved here. So it's being military is, there's benefits, and then there's also things that you have to be like, hey, that it's not always great and shiny as some people, and a lot of people already know that the military is not made for everybody.
Right.
It's made for
unique
individuals.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
called to do what you do.
Yep.
This was something I thought about, and I don't know if you even saw it because I wrote it down here later. But shifting gears a little bit, I cannot ever recall you talking to me about a raise. And that is the oddest. Like, that struck me, and I can't. I think whenever I was talking to Tiffany about that, I was like, you know what? This joker, you're a generator. You generate. When people are around you, you generate excess for those around you. You handle the stuff well. You have a good relationship with money. You're not using it. It's not the end game. Yeah. It's not the idol, the goal. It's not the love of that thing. It's a tool.
Yeah.
In turn, you never ask, you never come to that and said, "Hey, man, I need more money."
I did see it this morning.
You did?
Yeah, I saw it, and I was like, I was starting to think back, and I'm like, I don't think I've ever.
Yeah, I couldn't remember one.
I don't remember ever asking for one. It was always given. Through college, that was when we were doing the education assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And then since my parents were military, we hit VA benefits off of that.
Mm-hmm.
And we hit some other GI Bill type things off of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I reaped the benefit of my parents being in the military. So I was basically double dipping through college. You were paying for school. The VA was paying me a monthly thing because they considered me a full-time student. So they were paying me like basically a housing, living expense.
Gotcha.
And then at one point, the government was paying for my tuition too. Mm-hmm. So the $5,000 that you were paying for my school went to my pocket. It didn't go to AUM.
Gotcha.
So that was part of it. Was hey, I was getting a little bit of extra.
Yeah, it's just a win-win for you.
Yeah, it was. I'm working my butt off, and I'm having to go to school at night, and this is why. I mean, so basically, I was getting paid to go to school, and that's probably the only reason.
It's an interesting way to look at it.
That was the only reason why I kept going.
Right.
Because at some point, my parents said you have to do this.
Right.
Well, once I hit 21, 22, I was like, I don't have to do this if I don't want to do it.
Right.
But then I started looking on, well, now I'm getting paid to go to school. Now I'm okay with going to school because it's like almost like a job. Mm-hmm. Is I'm getting paid, and as long as I get, keep my grades at a certain point.
Right.
So I did just enough to stay at that point, and that set me up in that way. Is I had a little bit extra money, and I've always lived below my means, in a lot of ways. When everybody else was moving out, going away from home, spending money on partying, spending a bunch of money doing stuff like that, I was working and going to school, working, going to school, working, going to school. And I was still living at home. I mean, I was 20, I stayed home till I was 26 or 27. And I lived at home. And a lot of people look at that as, well, why are you doing that? Why would you live at home? Why not? I don't pay for nothing. Like, I just pay for what I want to do.
Right.
And I'll help when it's needed. But why would I move out of this situation to go pay for somewhere?
Right.
And it was also looking at, well, hey, I don't make enough money to want to go anywhere else. Like, I can't afford to go and pay for an apartment or a house or all that stuff. So at that point, it was just kind of like, hey, I'm all good.
I couldn't put my finger on that though.
I guess my mentality
what's
was,
the process? What's the thought process?
My process, I think, was if I keep working hard and I keep producing, it's gonna eventually benefit me. It might not be right this second. It might not be a year from now. It might not be 2 years from now. I mean, I actually got in an argument with my dad about this. He was like, well, why the crap are you still, why aren't you making more money? Why are you doing all this stuff and you're still making the same amount of money? And I'm like, I was like, look, shut up. I mean, that's what I basically told him. And I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but, I'm sure that came across very disrespectful. It's like, look, dude, I'm going to keep doing what I want to do because I know that you're going to take care of me. You always have. Like, any point in my life, you've always taken care of, like, it's always come. It might not be right when I want it to, but eventually it comes down the pipe. It has to. And if it don't, it's going to come down the pipe in another way.
Yeah. I totally believe that.
You reap what you sow. It's
absolutely.
And, reaping doesn't mean that you're going to sow immediately.
Right.
You usually never sow immediately. It's usually years and years and years and years of consistent performance and consistent drive and consistent trying to do something that's like, hey, okay, now I'm starting to get the benefits of this stuff, and now I can see that, hey, this is paying off.
Right. I mean, it's almost like running a company, like starting a company.
Yeah.
You don't make any money on the front end. It's years of paying the piper, and then eventually it
just
pays
starts
off.
growing and exponentially starts to grow at one point, and it's just kind of like.
And that's rare that somebody has the discipline and the faith on one hand too, because then you're not necessarily here. The thing that I believe, and I think I probably told you before, if that's the way that you want to act, if that's the way that those are the seeds that you want to sow, God will see to it that if I'm not the guy that's going to look at that and reward that correctly, He'll move you to another place.
Yep. Yeah.
Under somebody or beside somebody or over somebody, whatever. He'll move you to another place where it will happen.
Yeah, and one of my mentalities has always been, and I think I even told my dad this when we got in this whole argument. It's like, dude, if at whatever reason I decided that Signmaster wasn't the place that I wanted to be, anywhere I go, I'm going to get back to the top.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that's just my mentality.
Right. The bull.
You can go put me at, bagging groceries,
right,
and I'm going to be running the damn grocery store before too long. That's the way my mentality is. Okay, what do I got to do to get to that spot?
Right.
And that's just
right.
That was my mentality, and I was like, eventually, especially when we both decided that, or I kind of decided that, hey man, I went back and forth on what I was going to do with my life. It went from military to police to this to that. It just swapped a lot, and then it was eventually it was just like, look, let's go. Let's just do what we have to do to make this thing grow, because we were slowly, like, we came out of 08, 09 time frame
during the crisis.
It was, me, you, Garrett running, and then we started. It was like we were all kind of like, hey, let's see what we can do with 3 people.
Yeah,
and
we did a lot.
And we did a lot with 3 people. If you really look at it, it was like, holy crap.
Yeah,
we did a lot with just 3 people.
Yeah,
and then it was just kind of like, hey, this thing's just gonna grow, and it was like, all right, now I know where to push. If I push this thing and help build it up, that's where the reaping's gonna come from.
Yeah, we
sowed and we sowed and we sowed for a long time. And now we're starting to reap, and we're starting to grow, and we're starting to do all these things, and it's not always been a bed of roses. Me and you have butted heads on several instances, and it's,
because we're both alpha.
Yeah. We both have that personality, and we both have different opinions. And I mean, it's, it's almost like a marriage,
but it's worked in our benefit.
Yes. 100%.
Me and you both.
Yep.
I mean, there's no doubt that healthy confrontation.
Yeah. There's been times where it's been overboard,
Sure.
But like I said, it's almost like a marriage.
Yeah. We've learned.
You build this relationship over 15 years, and you're never, just as well. I've only been married 2 years, and I know that, hey, when you're dealing with somebody on a daily basis and you've been together, you're going to have conflict.
Yeah.
And it's all about how you handle that conflict. And neither one of us have just gone off the end, off the deep end.
Right.
It's always been, well, hey, I thought about this.
Yeah.
But after we stepped back and kind of separated, it was like, look, hey, I was being a jerk. We shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have done that. Right. And let's get back. Yeah. Let's pick it back up.
Yep.
Say the sorries, say all the things that need to be said, and then sweep it under and be like, okay,
let's go.
What's the next thing? And let's chase that next thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, it's functioned to both of our benefits.
Yes.
To be in that, and to be able to run this thing and to see the potential it has and actually start fulfilling it.
Yeah.
Fulfilling some of it. And really over the last couple of years, things have really started to, a lot of that sowing.
Yep. A lot of it
has started to come to fruition.
I mean,
and it's
10 plus years of it, really. Yeah. If you think about it, it's been 10 years of since
08 we've been because that's kind of when
I graduated. I think in 12 is when I actually got my degree. Was in 11 or 12, and that's kind of when we really started saying, okay, what is it going to take for us to hit 1 million, to hit 2 million, to try to grow and be what we thought we could be.
Right. We're learning, man.
Yeah. It's
learning
awesome.
Like crazy. And we're in learn mode and growth mode right now. And it is exciting to be a part of.
Yeah.
It's
really
see
cool.
all this stuff.
Well, and you start to talk to some of the newer guys that we've hired, and it's like looking back at what the shop used to look like, and everybody thinks that the shop now is and it's like, dude, you have no idea.
You have no idea.
You have zero idea how everything used to be. Like, it would blow y'all would hate, probably you wouldn't work here.
Right.
It's because of how it used to be.
Right.
Just because of the what processes and just different things you had to do was just like clean and screen and just everything. It's crazy to see where we've been in 15 years.
Yeah.
Like, just the building itself, the different transformations that the building has taken to make it work. Because that's the whole mentality. Is how do we make this work?
Right. And we kept building and breaking and
building and breaking and building and twisting and building new buildings or building new walls and taking these walls down because, well, this wall's in the way now. And it's just crazy. It's crazy looking back and seeing, like, it would be really cool if we had a video of all that stuff. It would blow people's minds how much we've changed in 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, every couple or 3 years, we've got a big 30-yard dumpster sitting out front where we're tearing out walls and
trying to put new stuff in and building new offices, building new, just building all kind of, like, it's just always been, and that's something that we've always done.
Yeah.
We've never been satisfied.
To stop. That's right.
We've never said, hey, okay,
we're good.
We made it.
Yeah.
We ain't made it. And we never want to make it.
Right.
Like,
right.
We want to keep doing it and see, okay, well, what's the next step?
Yeah.
We did 4. Let's do 10.
Yeah.
How do we do 10?
Right. How do we do 50?
Yeah. How do we do 100? Yeah. It's just, what do we have to do to get to that to be that next level? And I think that's that's part of the drive. Both me and you both have that drive of it's never good enough.
Yeah.
Like, having a bunch of money isn't.
Yeah, it's not. It has no.
It's not what was doing. It's not it.
Right. And now it's influence. Now we're moving into that.
It's a different.
All those people.
Yeah.
And training and working with and
just stepping into a different type of, instead of, hey, I'm gonna drive this thing. I'm gonna be the bull.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna charge this thing. It's like, okay, hey, now I'm gonna teach the young bulls what it's like what you need to do to hit this level.
Right.
It's hey, how can I help y'all get to this level? Because, do you want to do it or do you not want to do it? Because if you don't want to do it,
somebody else does.
Yeah, somebody else does, and we want to find that somebody else.
Yeah.
Because once you got a bunch of bulls running together and pulling and doing the thing,
you got a herd. Yeah,
you got a herd of bulls. That's probably against everything in the cattle industry. Is you probably have one bull and a bunch of heifers running around and with the one bull, but you don't want to.
Maybe this is a different herd.
Yeah, this is a different kind of herd. This is the running of the bulls type scenario where we want to run over everybody and just take over.
Well, to follow up on that whole thought process, I heard you say one thing where you said, when you opened that up, you said, I just always did what I was supposed to do, and you would give it. But that's earned. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff. And that goes with sowing and reaping, but you earn, you're all about that. I love that because that's my mentality. I resonate with it.
Yeah.
Big time is I don't want anybody to give me anything.
Yeah, I
want to earn it.
Right now the big thing is the government handouts.
Yeah.
Is, hey, when is my $1,400 check going to come in?
Yeah.
I don't want no $1,400 check.
Right.
You can keep that.
Yeah.
I didn't earn that.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to lower my tax rate because I earned that, then okay, I'm all about that. But this whole let's just hand stuff out, I don't want handouts.
Yeah, it's detrimental. It's detrimental.
It's just in the long run, it teaches people to rely on anything other than themselves.
Yeah, I know it.
If you're not relying on yourself, and I mean God, obviously, but a lot of that is yourself. You can't just sit there and expect stuff to be given to you.
Yeah,
that's
what did Mike say about that relying on God? I was talking to him the other day, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, God blesses whatever you bring to the table.
Yeah,
but you got to bring something to the table.
Yep,
you can't take 5 loaves and 2 fishes and feed 5,000. But if you didn't show up with nothing, he wasn't going to.
Yeah, he's not just going to make it appear.
Right.
Somebody's got to bring forth something.
Right.
And that's 100%. If you don't bring anything to the table, how can you expect to be blessed?
Yeah.
If you can't just sit there and expect, hey, come on and give it to me. Yeah. That's just not how
it's just a bad mentality. Sometimes you need it, but whenever you do need it, it seems to always show up.
Yep.
Not that that's my mentality, but whenever when I'm behind the gun or whenever something's going on like that, man, you pay your dues and you do the right things. It's going to show up.
My personality has always been that I'm responsible for my decisions.
Yeah.
You know, the whole things is personal accountability.
That's right.
And I've never labeled it that.
Yeah.
But in a lot of ways, that's how we've just been the whole time we've been. That's just been our MO is this is my responsibility. So if I spend my money poorly and get myself into a position that now I can't pay for what I was doing, then it's my responsibility to dig myself out of that hole.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's something that you just can't control.
Right.
Car breaks down. Okay, it's life.
Yeah.
It's my responsibility to be in a position to where I can handle that.
Sure.
And if I wasn't in that position, well, I'm going to get there. Like, I'll go work a second job. I'll work all night. I'll do whatever it takes to get out of that position.
Yeah. That's good. Hey, man, that's the attitude to have.
Yeah.
That's the attitude to have. You got to have the right kind of attitude.
That's my attitude. We deal with these younger guys, and it's always, well, hey, I don't make enough money. I don't do, like, I can make more money over here. And it's like, well, okay, yes, the grass is always greener on the other side. You might be able to make more money now, but
what about
you're going to be 5 years from now, you're going to be sitting there making the same kind of money because they're just not going to pay you more because guess what? You're not. The drive that you need to have isn't there.
Right.
Like, you need to show that, hey, yes, I'm making $10 an hour, but I'm really worth $15 an hour. So when am I going to get there? I don't know.
Maybe you do the things that
do
worth
the things that are worth 15 or
20
20 to start with, and then
make yourself irreplaceable.
It's the whole reaping what you sow. And eventually, yes, it might take a year. It might take 2 years. It might take 3 years. You might just have to be, because, it took a long time at making $8 to $10 an hour here. And then it started to grow.
Right.
But, that never stopped me. It wasn't like, well, hey, I'm going to work like a $10 an hour employee.
That is true.
I'm going to prove that, hey, I make myself irreplaceable.
Right.
And that's what I did, is I worked into a place where, hey, if JC's not here, we're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
And that's not good. Looking back, it's not good to be in that position. But
no, but that's the way you have to.
That's the way you have to personally think about it.
Right.
Is I'm going to work to where you can't afford to replace me.
Yeah.
So now you're gonna pay me what I'm due.
Yeah.
Because I've been after it for a long time now.
Right. That's good. That's good. It's great advice. Man, if you can just lay hold on that,
it's
just
tough.
Stay with it. Yeah, but it is tough because the mental game you have to play in order to come out on top of that is trying.
Well, and today, everything's right there.
That's right.
I got my cell phone. I can pull this up and I can do this.
Yeah.
And that whole instant gratification.
Yeah.
Our whole society today is all about instant.
Right.
Hey, I want this now. Amazon, I want this tomorrow.
Right.
I want this. I want it now.
Yep.
There's a lot of things that you can't get overnight.
Right.
You just can't build wealth overnight.
True.
Like, okay, yes, there's a few people who have struck gold.
Right. But they're few and
very few and far between. Right. A lot of people took years and years and years and years of building and failing, building, failing, building, failing, and then it's like, oh, well, they struck gold. No, they.
Well, and here's what you'll find with people that strike gold or win the lottery. A year later, they're
bankrupt.
They're bankrupt.
Yeah, they're having to sell everything that they tried to buy
because you don't understand. You don't have the right relationship with the resource, and if you don't have the right relationship with that resource, it's not going to end well.
No,
like you cannot handle it. You have to learn how to handle it. And I'm sure there are anomalies, unicorns out there that can do that, but there are very few.
Be an interesting study to get all that information back on lottery winners and how many of them actually maintained wealth.
Right.
And I bet 10% probably maintained it.
I mean, there's some people that like
people
Zuckerberg and even Jobs. Whenever they started Apple, his net worth went from $1 million at 20 to 10 million at 21 to 100 million at 22.
Yeah.
Like that's
just exponential, but that's
exponential.
He created something out of it.
And also he eventually crashed out and left and then came back, and when he came back he understood really the whole thing. But that's good to have that right kind of relationship with the almighty dollar.
Yeah.
You got to have it.
It's tough sometimes, You got to have it. It's a very tough thing to wrap your head around, and to not just go and blow money for blowing money's sake.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to do nowadays.
Yeah, that's a fact. All right, so wrapping up. Success leaves clues. These are my last handful of questions. What's your morning routine like?
I usually get up around 4:45. Shower, go downstairs, feed the dogs. All that kind of good stuff.
What time you go to bed?
Most nights it's right around 9. Right. Some nights it's a little bit later.
Okay, I'm just getting the number of hours of sleep.
Yeah.
There. All right, so 4:45.
Yep, 4:45. I usually wake up during the week. Now on the weekends, it's free game. I sleep in on the weekends. Okay. I am not afraid to say that on the weekends that's when I catch up on some of the sleep that I didn't get during the week.
Okay, cool.
So I wake up 4:45. Get downstairs, do my morning routine, pack up, and head to the gym. And usually I'm at the gym by 5:30ish. And I don't know, I'm usually there 45 minutes to an hour, somewhere in that range. Just depends on, some days it's good, some days it's not. Some days it's like, hey, I'm just going to get on the treadmill, walk 10, 15 minutes, and I'm going to head on because I'm not feeling it today.
Right.
But most days it's 30, 45 minutes, and then it's pack up and head straight here. I'm usually here about 6:45, 7 o'clock, and been doing that now for years, probably 4 or 5 years now.
Right.
And that's kind of
the morning routine.
Yeah.
Any particular eating habits or whatever? Or
I go through up and downs, and sometimes I'm dieting, sometimes I'm not. Usually I'm always intermediate fasting. Usually I don't eat anything in the morning. Gotcha. Some mornings I do, like I'll grab Chick-fil-A on the way to work. But most mornings it's intermediate fasting. I'll eat around 1 o'clock, and then.
Gotcha. So your last meal at night, you eat around
9-ish.
9.
I usually go downstairs right before I go to bed and grab some type of snack, and then head back upstairs and go to sleep.
So your workout, that's pretty consistent. You try to do that.
Yeah,
every day.
I do that every day. There's phases where I'll take a week off,
right?
Because you get burnt out.
What's the importance of that? What's the importance of the workout thing? Like, does that set you right for the day? How does that work?
I feel kind of like the Rock in this, in this situation. It's like an anchor. It kind of sets up your day. Because there's been a lot of days where I'll come in and not have a good workout and not have a good day. It's just kind of like I didn't get the workout I needed in, and now my day's just kind of a drag.
Yep.
But if I have a good workout, usually I come in energized, it's like, hey, let's start this day. It's just kind of it's your whole anchor of your day. It's
right.
how I get my day going, and it's a good way to get your blood flowing. Gives you that, and it gives me my quiet time. Is essentially, there's a few guys at the gym that I'll talk to.
Right.
We'll have conversations, but for the most part, I've got headphones in, and I'm listening to music, and it's just me, and kind of what my thoughts are on the day, or what's going on in my life, and what do I need to be getting ready for?
Right.
Is there something that I should be doing that I'm not? It's just kind of it gives me my time to meditate, essentially.
Right.
And I do it while I'm working out, and I got music in my headphones, and the world's just kind of there.
Yeah.
So it gives me a good point to start my day and kind of say, okay, hey, I know when I get to work, I got to get this done.
Yeah.
Like
I love that.
I know this is coming down the pipe.
Anchor.
Yeah.
The anchor.
Mm-hmm.
You anchor your day right there.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely still in the rock on that one, but it's solid. Like that's how I look at it.
Right.
Is because you can tell when I don't go to the gym.
Yeah.
I just feel, sometimes it's refreshing to not do that.
Right.
Because your body just says, hey, we need some time. We just need to.
Yeah.
Let's get that extra hour sleep.
Right. But you have to listen to the
you listen.
The body.
You listen to the body, and it ain't just being lazy.
Yeah. Right.
You always go through phases where it's like, hey, I just don't feel like doing this week, so I'm not going to. But I try to, I'm a one alarm person. My alarm goes off at 4:45. I don't hit snooze. Okay, listen, up we go.
Let's go.
Let's hop in the shower and let's get this stuff going.
Right. Yeah. That's good. We got that thing, the snooze button is a metaphor for every decision you're going to make.
Yeah.
And so true.
Let's get it done. Get it over with.
What's your diet like?
My diet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of hit on that. So it's hit
up
and miss.
And down.
Like you go.
Sometimes it's clean.
Real strict. Real.
Yeah. Sometimes it's super strict. It just depends on how I feel.
Right.
If I feel like I'm a little heavy on the heavy side, then I'm like, okay, let's lock it down for a couple of months.
Gotcha.
If I get out of that point, then I'll be like, okay, we can loosen this up.
Right.
I do that all by feel and
so
how.
You're not nuts about.
No.
Oh my God, I can't have a donut. Or
No,
I can't. No pizza. Or
unless I'm just
whatever.
trying to there's points where I've been a little heavier than I want to be. Then I'm like,
you
okay,
want to cut.
Yeah, I got to cut back down, and this is my stopping point, and I'm going to get back down to the weight that I want to do.
Gotcha. Sleep, how much and when?
What is that?
9 to 4. So you're the 6 to
7 hour. Yeah. Because I wake up a lot throughout the night too sometimes. So.
Gotcha.
So
Interesting.
I'm a 6 to 7 hour sleep kind of.
When do you do your best work?
Probably first thing in the morning.
So fresh mind.
Yeah, after working out.
And that's physiological too.
Yeah, and I think that's why I like getting here early. It's because I can, nobody's here at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
So one, it's quiet.
Yeah.
So I can kind of be in my own little zone and do what I need to do. But usually that whole morning is my peak.
Yeah.
By the afternoon, I'm kind of, because I eat late, eat at 1 o'clock. So you come back after eating and you're just kind of like, okay, hey, I'm starting to gear down.
Right.
Losing the momentum I had this morning.
Right. I know this might be a kind of a weird question, or not question, but statement. If you had a one-off, that'd be difficult for me to think of too, but if you had a one-off, an encouragement or whatever for the guys coming up.
Ooh. Yeah.
Can you even think of a one-off? Like I said, I know that'd be tough for, when I read that, I was like, that'd be tough.
Well, there's a couple of things that I would be like, hey, if you can control this stuff in your life,
mm-hmm.
then you'd probably be pretty well off.
Mm-hmm.
You never stop learning. That's huge.
Huge.
I constantly read books.
Yep.
And that's probably leads back to the whole how I've been good with money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember reading just financial book after financial book after financial book. And some of them you're like, what book was it? When I first started wanting to get in the stock market, I think I read The Intelligent Investor.
Okay.
The most boring book that you could ever read about. It's based off of how Warren Buffett invests.
Okay.
But it's boring. And it's just kind of a drag, and it's not very exciting. It's a lot of numbers, and it's basically telling you to be a value investor, how to be a value investor.
Right.
So, but that's where it started. It's like, hey, I'm going to get in the stock market, and then I just read financial book. Like
mm-hmm.
everybody that's written a financial book, I probably have read it. So that's probably one of the things that we do the worst teaching to the younger generation is personal finances. Because I'll talk to some younger people and hear stories about younger people, and they don't have a clue. Like, they don't know anything. So, like, if you can ever grasp personal finance and really understand it and really get what that means, that's huge. Like, because you're not taught that. Like, a lot of people just don't, and that's one of the Robert Kiyosaki's one of his whole thing is what the rich teach their kids.
Yeah.
They actually teach them personal finance and teach them that money is not the end game.
Right.
That's the problem is a lot of people think it's the end game.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's the tool.
I just had $1 million.
Yeah, I would be set. No,
you wouldn't.
You wouldn't, because if you don't know how to use that $1 million in a couple of years, you're going to be broke.
Yep.
Because you're going to go buy the new fancy truck, the new fancy house, and you're going to look back and be like, crap.
Where'd my money go?
Yeah, where'd all my money go? Even if you paid cash for that stuff.
Right. It don't sit.
Yeah. Well, in that house, about the only thing you're going to buy that won't kill you is the house, because you can at least make your money back off that.
As long as you don't have to pay the electric bill and the water bill and the insurance.
Yep. You start having to pay all that stuff, and you realize real quick that it ain't.
Yeah. You're out $12,000 a year, just for stuff, just to make that thing run.
Especially if you're, buying a house that's outside of what you need to be buying just because you have the money.
Right.
So that's probably one thing I would say is, hey, it's boring. It's not. A lot of people don't find personal finance exciting. I like it personally because it's just, I like dealing with it.
It's continuous improvement.
Yeah, it's just trying to be better at it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one thing, and then it's a lot of society tells you a way you have to be. It's told you have to do this, you have to do that, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Yep.
Well, horse crap. There's so many examples of people who've been told that said, no, I don't have to do that.
Yep.
I mean, crap, that's what America's founded on is, hey, England, you want to charge us taxes without representation?
Yeah.
No. Y'all ain't going to tell us to do that. We're going to do our own thing.
Right.
And, I mean, that's just anything that's been great has been because somebody has told somebody you can't do that. And that's kind of, that's a big thing is like, well, hey, you took, people look at me when I was 17, 18 year old and said, well, you'll never own a Lamborghini. Why are you looking at that crap?
Oh, yeah.
Horse crap. Who says I can't own a Lamborghini? Like, yes, in your mind, it might not be the best thing to put money towards, but in my mind, that's one of the goals is to have a car that most people only dream about even looking at.
Right.
Okay, well, I want to own one and it just be fun. That isn't where my money's wrapped up in. My money's wrapped up in this next level stuff that you can't see. All you're seeing is
the result.
The result of years and years and years and years of hard work.
Right.
People see me driving the Corvette at 30.
Yeah.
And they just, well, hey, you just got money. Right. Okay, well, no, it's from 10 plus years of working my butt off to get to this position where I can afford to buy this car and it not be a big deal.
Right.
There's a big difference in that. And I think that's the thing that it's really easy to look at the outside and
so easy
and say, well, hey, you just have everything and it was so easy for you, and that's not the case, Right. It's a lot of hard work, and that's probably the next thing is for the younger generation is just work your butt off.
Yeah.
That's
be willing to do it.
Be willing to do what it takes, no matter like if that's what you want in life,
right.
Do it. Yep. Unless it's detrimental to somebody else and it hurts somebody else.
Right.
You just do it.
Illegal, immoral, or unethical.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Don't do those things. But if it doesn't fall in that and it just takes working, 80-hour weeks, it takes whatever it takes.
Right.
Do it.
Do it.
Just put your mind to it and don't look at the instant. Look at the future and say, okay, I know right now it sucks.
Yeah.
Making $10 an hour sucks. I hate it. Living at home sucks. I hate it. Okay? Look at the future. I'm working towards this. I can live in this for just a little bit.
Right.
I can stand to suffer. You know, we use that word very, like, a lot of people don't know what suffering is in America.
Right.
If you really, really think
True.
about it, you think you're suffering, but really, man, we've got it good.
Yeah.
And so that's the three things is learn how to handle your money.
Yeah.
Don't let somebody tell you what you can and can't do.
Yeah.
And work for that goal. And then what was the third one? What was the other thing I was talking about? I don't even remember what it was now.
No.
Was that it pretty much?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a can and can't do, and then having the right relationship with that. With that money.
So that's,
or be willing to work your butt off.
Yeah. I mean, that's just the big thing is you just got to work for it.
Yeah.
Don't expect it to be handed to you. So
cool. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
No problem, man. Appreciate you too. Love you too.
like you don't know, like you do know.
Yeah, I know.
You
know, just as it resonates between the two of us, very.
It's good to be in the foxhole with you.
Yeah. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people look at me and say, "You still work for Tommy?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I still work for Tommy." Like, why would I ever go anywhere else?
But here's the thing, as I've said before, nobody works for me.
Yeah.
Everybody works with me.
Yeah. But, people don't look at it that way.
No, outside. That's some of that outside looking in again.
You outside and you just think, well, you work for Tommy. Well, no, I get to work with Tommy on a daily basis.
Yeah. And we have a common goal.
Yeah. And it's awesome. Like, I love it. Right. Like, why would I ever leave something that I've helped build and help get to a point and that I'm still able to help do that? Now, once we got to a point where it was like, hey, I don't feel like this can grow anywhere, then that's when it's kind of like, hey, that we don't need to do this anymore.
Right.
But I don't see us, the way me and you are wired, I don't see that ever being the case, because it's always going to be something next. So
to another 15.
Yes, sir.